RJ, please tell the people about the Exodus Alliance.
Absolutely. With the current state of affairs globally, with the current state of the African diaspora, we all know the challenges that we're facing around the world. We all know that there are certain solutions necessary for us to improve our conditions economically, socially, spiritually, even with education, and even currently with the current situation as we see in the medicine and in the medical field in the world. We have formed an alliance between our organizations, organizations that include the UNIA-ACL, Sankofa Repatriation Assistance Program, the State of the African Diaspora, Made in Africa Project, also the Alkebulan Development Group, and others, including also the Black Star Action Network out of Sierra Leone. We've included or formed an alliance called the Exodus Alliance. And this alliance has been developed for the mass and immediate repatriation of the African diaspora back to the continent. And so in doing so, we understand that it's more than just getting on an airplane, landing in a country, and starting a new life. We understand that there are necessities in representation, which is why the government of the state of the African diaspora is involved. We understand that there are necessities and needs in economic development, and which is why programs like the Made in Africa Project and Sankofa are involved. We understand that there are necessities in outreach and different fields that will provide us with those ongoing resources. And so our alliance has formed for this purpose. For the purpose of providing those returning members of the diaspora with every necessity or need or solution to challenges that are posed to us. I myself have been here on the continent for 6 years. Actually, we just celebrated our 6-year anniversary here on the ground about 3 days ago, or maybe about a week ago. And we've seen it all. We've seen the challenges in language, and we've seen the challenges in getting used to the culture and getting used to the different governments and getting used to the economic stability and how do we make money and how do we provide for ourselves and where's my children gonna be educated and how is the medical system gonna handle us in times of medical need. And so with all of these challenges that we've been able to come to understand here on the ground, we now have formed this alliance in efforts to bring solutions to those issues and to be able to raise the necessary funding to develop sustainable institutions and organizations here on the ground so that we can be able to live in peace and in sustainability. And those include cities for our repatriation, cities that are all inclusive, that have educational facilities, that have agricultural farms, and that have medical facilities that are up to our standards. That includes having projects that provide long-term employment and business opportunities to those who are looking for, a way to make a living, right? That's something that's extremely necessary. And so this alliance between our organizations is formed for that. And so we plan now in the next 24 months to be able to raise at least $1 billion for the repatriation of as many as up to 1 million families to the continent. And those can be to various destinations. We're developing repatriation destinations in the Gambia, in Sierra Leone, in Ghana, in Senegal, in Kenya now, and in other destinations around the continent. We understand that we can't all come back and place ourselves in one area. We understand that we can't all come back and not have a way to feed ourselves and take care of ourselves and contribute to the communities that we repatriate to. And so this alliance is being developed for that purpose. And so as Mr. President General just mentioned, the Honorable Marcus Garvey 100 years ago set out on a plan something like this. And he did a considerable amount of the work for us. But in the end, he himself didn't get a chance to step foot on the continent. And so now we find ourselves with one step ahead of that plan. We find ourselves actually with boots on the ground. Last year, hundreds of thousands of members of the diaspora came for the year of return. The government of Ghana and its economic state was able to make over $1 billion off of that rush of tourism. And so now we understand how important our spending is. We understand how important our presence is. We understand how important the connection between us and our continent is. And so tourism is not enough. We understand that, that's just one factor. Now we move into the next phase of our involvement with the continent, which is sustainable repatriation that can reconnect us for the long haul. And that's what this alliance is about. As many of you know, Africa Day was set to be a one-of-a-kind event here in Senegal next week, May 25th through the 31st. We had somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 people scheduled to come in town from outside the country, speakers from all over the world. And it was going to be an event that we could use to build upon this same mission. And so the COVID-19 pandemic has posed a challenge in which we can't travel, we can't congregate, we can't bring you all into the continent for that purpose. And so what we've done is created a live stream set for Monday, May 25th. That's a week from 2 days from now. So a week from this Monday, we will be hosting a 8-hour-long live stream conference. We've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 or more speakers that are going to be participating in that live stream, where we're going to be talking about the mass and immediate repatriation of the diaspora. Those speakers include Brother President General Cleophas Miller here, Sister Ya, Her Excellency Vice Prime Minister Madam Keturah Moko, and also we've got other speakers as well. Dr. Umar Johnson, we've got Six Goddess, we've got Wold Maya, and tons of other personalities that you guys are familiar with who will be pitching in with some of those very important strategies, resources. Why is it important? We need to talk amongst ourselves about these solutions. Too often we see people congregating and creating these types of platforms simply to complain or to rant or to talk about the challenges and how we can't do it and what needs to be done. This is not that. We're going to be focusing on specifically resources. How do we get this done? Who do we connect with? What resources are at our disposal? What time frames are we looking at? And how we can all contribute to make it a possibility. And so we will be doing within that live stream an ongoing telethon. We'll be raising funds through the Sankofa Repatriation Assistance Program for that mass repatriation. It's important to understand that this is how solutions come about. Solutions historically come about through our trials and our most challenging times. If we look back to 100 years ago, in the midst of the last great pandemic this world has seen, the Honorable Marcus Garvey was building one of the most influential and impactful organizations Black people have had since we've been in the West, anyway, or since slavery. And that happened in the midst of the last pandemic. If you look at the last Great Depression that we've seen globally, in the midst of the last Great Depression, when banks were closing, when major organizations and corporations were going out of business, our brothers and sisters in communities like Harlem, New York, were building a renaissance. We were building major organizations and corporations. We were doing our thing, right? And so adversity brings about solutions. And so as we look at the current time period, as we look at what's happening to our people in the West, and we look at what's happening to our folks around the world, as we look at our people being expelled and kicked out of China and treated badly in South America and Central America, as we look at what's happening in Europe as they're chasing out the migrants and closing their borders to help us, as we look at what's happening in the Middle East and different places where we've congregated, we understand that nobody is going to do for us what is needed to be done for us. Nobody is going to treat us with the respect that we deserve if we cannot prove to the rest of the world that we can do it for ourselves. And so our Africa Day live stream is that. We've gathered some of the most, like I say, influential Pan-African champions who will all be speaking on that day. That will be live on the Facebook page for Africa Day 2020. I advise everybody go and like and follow that page now. Make sure that you select the notifications option so that you can be alerted when that live stream gets started. But Africa Day 2020 will go on despite the COVID challenge, despite the travel ban, despite the negative things going on in the world. We're not stopping. We're not distracted. We're not, going to cower down in a corner and wait for other people to make decisions for us. So this is us making decisions for ourselves. We invite all of the global African family to attend. And this is not just for the diaspora, guys. This is not just for Black Americans, This is for all of us. So even my continental brothers and sisters, many of you have reached out to us with concerns and challenges that you see we need solutions to. So we invite you all to take part. We invite you all to invite your family and friends and be a part of this global uniting, because as I see it in the near future, we're all going to need each other. We are all going to need each other. I repeat, we will all need each other. And this is the start of that. So I invite you.